Hi, this is a general intro to what I'm going to be talking about. And what I'm going to be talking about is dental insurance. And it's going to go over a number of sessions here because as I'm looking at what I've just completed, I'm at 32 minutes, and that's way too long for somebody to manage. So this little announcement here is at the beginning of the first session on dental insurance, and then I'm going to let it run, and then I'll intercept and we'll just run it through a number of days here. It would be really wonderful if, as you're listening to this, you make comments, and please, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, the importance of what you do to help the podcast is immeasurable to me, in that it builds strength for my ability to market in San Antonio. It's a funny world, and billboards and television advertising, all things, are extremely expensive, but we have these social media outlets that allow us to at least become visible to the general public. And the best that we can do, any of us, is to get people who like us enough to recommend us to other people. But how often would it be that somebody's going to say, I really liked that periodontal procedure that so-and-so did for me, and I'm going to go share it with others. My dad used to joke about that. He said, if you make a good denture, don't expect anybody to tell anybody about it. Because if it looks natural, they're going to keep quiet. And I think they should. It's a private, personal thing. And yet, the way that we can survive in business, and we're going to talk about dental insurance here, the way we survive in business is if we can find people who will help us by recommending us. And the easiest way to do that is to give 5-star reviews, or to come on the website and thank us or others. Just understand that's kind of like the tip. I'm tipping wherever I go because I think people need the encouragement, and I think that's a good activity for me. It kind of helps my heart. I want to encourage people, especially who are working hard. So I give tips, and will continue to do so. But in the digital world, the tip is 5-star reviews, a comment as simple as thanks, enjoyed it, and even, boy, if you could talk about this, or I don't agree with that. Those are things that really can help us all. And it adds to the conversation. It helps us to manage and make what we need for other people in the world of podcasting or anything else. All right, thank you, and we will start with dental insurance. Today, I want to talk about dental insurance, and I went downstairs. I do these recordings upstairs in the office, and you don't want to be up here, it's a mess. But downstairs, I went and spoke with Bonnie and Tiffany and said, I'm going to do one on dental insurance. What would you recommend? And so we had this fairly lengthy discussion about problems that they have encountered with dental insurance companies and patients having difficulties with these companies. This was the topic in which, on a YouTube video, I was talking about dental insurance, and it went to 84 plus thousands of views on YouTube. And as I've said earlier, I believe I shut it down. You may not have heard that. I shut it down after about 84,500 views, because it was not something I was doing anymore. It was discussing ways to work with dental insurance in the office, and we could maybe get into some of that, but it's really not that relevant. We'll probably I'll probably touch on some of the things I've learned since then that I'd like to share with you. But suffice it to say, this was a very animated conversation with Tiffany and Bonnie because they deal with it every day. So the first thing I would say is dental insurance is a third party, and the dental insurance is not interested in dental care. They're a contract entity to pay for things, and essentially they make their money by controlling costs, and they interfere with the patient-dentist or patient-physician relationship by controlling what a person can receive under their policies and what they can't. So that's a problem. Let me talk for a moment about how all of this came into being, because I think it's important to get a kind of a historic picture on this. Following World War II, there were political entities that wanted to do cost control, price control in the business sector. And these were government entities that said, we need to control the income of these people who are being employed, white collar people, higher paid people. And so we're going to do a cost limit on income. It's going to be an income limit. So companies then couldn't compete with one another to get really good employees because they couldn't offer them more money. So instead, what they figured out was, well, let's give them different incentives along with their salary. So they'd say, well, let's give you this salary, but in addition, we're going to throw in health care, and we'll throw in medical health care policies. And so insurance companies developed around this model, and that's how insurance came to be within medicine, and it's become entrenched in the employer-employee relationship ever since. Dental insurance came after medical insurance, probably by decades, as I recall. It wasn't a big deal at first, and most people, obviously, when they were getting dental care back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, were just paying out of pocket. And costs were reasonable. And then insurance started to come in, but a lot of people didn't buy it. Employers weren't really getting it either, but insurance companies began to bundle things. So most of the people that we see in our office with dental insurance, those policies are purchased by an employer, and the employee doesn't get necessarily to choose what they want. They may have a menu and they can select a few things, but that's about it, because the employer is being is sold policies by different companies where they're trying to sell to the employer that they're the better one to use. So it's a lot of sales, basically, at the level of companies and insurance companies. So employers and insurance companies are trying to figure out what can they offer employees that employees will accept at the lowest cost, etc. So it's all a pricing thing. For some insurance, there's a federal one, I believe now, that upon retirement, there are no limits to the maximums on some of these policies. Most of the insurance policies that are in place now have maximums. They have a minimum, which we'll call the deductible. So in order to even start getting benefits from the policy, the individual has to pay a certain amount. That's the deductible. So let's just say it's $50 a year. So the first $50 every year will be paid out in some office somewhere, because insurance won't cover it. And then once that's covered, then everything else will be under the policy. So that's the minimum. Maximums in dentistry have not changed in decades. Normally they range between $1,000 to $2,500. Some very good ones may go $3,000 a year. If you need a lot more work than that, you can see that insurance doesn't matter what procedures they cover, they're going to max out, and you're only going to get a certain amount a year. Well, speaking of maxed out, we've maxed out time today, and we'll pick this up next time.